Hey, Vamel, I've got our friend Mike Cope here because I wanted you to listen in on a conversation that we're going to have about this new preaching model that we are shifting to as I come on board in August. Mike and I have been on a preaching team together already, so we know what that's like. And I know that that's something that was important to you, Mike.
It was for a couple reasons. One is I think it's important to the minister. Kind of in the old days, if you've ever seen the old movie A River Runs Through It, you've seen that model of the old Presbyterian minister who sits in an office all day long, all week, getting ready for one sermon.
That's right.
You know, reading all of his
the Greek
literature,
Bible,
reading the Greek Bible, all of that. And there have been times in history when maybe that fits, but it doesn't fit our world very well. Things are moving too fast. People's lives are so busy. Pastoral work takes a lot of effort. So to me, it's a helpful thing to a minister to remember, I'm not just preaching to this church. I'm not just teaching to them. Even with the title minister of the word, there's a broader meaning to that than just somebody who teaches or preaches. It's somebody leading the congregation in the following of Jesus, one of the leaders in doing that. So it opens up more time for the kind of wide reading that's helpful in the long haul.
Yeah.
It opens the time for connecting with people, having cups of coffee, having lunch, making sure the staff is on board together, that they're not just acquaintances who show up once in a while, but actual community of friends.
Right.
So that's one of the reasons. Does that resonate with you?
Absolutely. And when the other thing I'm looking forward to is sharing the word with other people, right? That reading the Bible has always been this kind of community-based event for me, experience for me. And so the idea of the church not just hearing one voice all the time, and I get to hear, right? I get to be in the pews.
You get to be a
listening.
recipient of preaching, which is how it worked when you and I and another guy, Todd Brown, shared the preaching. I did most of it at the time, but you and Todd did quite a bit of the preaching. So there were those times I got to hear the preaching of others, and we got to prepare sermon series. We even worked sometimes on sermon ideas together.
Yep.
There was a real energy in doing this with others. Now you led into the other side of this, which is I think it's also advantageous to a church.
That's right. Yeah.
I mean, we all know the model where one person is doing 95% of the preaching through the year, and that works for a lot of people. But I think there's some real advantages to saying, we're going to hear from different people.
That's right.
Their life experiences may be different, their training may be different, and overall, I think there is a kind of formation of a people that's healthier as a result of these multiple voices.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's reflected even in Scripture. Like, that's what Scripture does.
Yeah.
Right? We have 4 Gospels.
Right.
Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and they all have their own unique voice that offers something to the church that's needed. Right. And so in the preaching, what if we leaned into that impulse?
And knowing we have probably different styles of preaching.
Yep.
You know, someone may come at it straight out of the text and then try to apply it. Somebody else may kind of start in the lives of people and wind up in the text. We have different ways of teaching and preaching, same gospel, but different messengers and different ways of hearing it.
Because that pushes against some of the worst impulses, temptations that preachers can sometimes have.
Right.
Of this kind of ego-driven, I want to be in the spotlight. Let's displace that.
Well, then it forces you into the healthy place of being really glad to hear people affirm someone else.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
In the beginning, you have to kind of swallow hard. You're right. Jerry Taylor is really a good preacher.
That's right. Yeah.
You know.
Well, it was funny. When I was, my very first place I ever preached, church in Winters, Texas, I would have guest preachers come in every once in a while. And the best compliments I ever got about my preaching were about their preaching. But they remembered me doing it.
What it forces is that you have to develop a true pastor's heart,
Yeah.
where you want the church to be healthy. You want to do your part in making that possible, but you want to bring in other voices, other leaders who can help, because that's the end goal, not just the promotion of oneself.
Yeah, absolutely. So when Bobby originally presented this idea to me, there was something in me that just it felt right. It just felt like something relaxed in me. Like, okay, yeah, no, this helps me breathe a little bit to lean into this model.
And part of it is because we all know when you have a week off, and maybe you're working, but you're not preaching Sunday, something in you relaxes.
That's right.
You connect more with people that week, and you start thinking more deeply about the messages that are ahead.
That's right,
It's because it's always like a good stew. It needs a little bit of time for the roux base to start working through it, you know, and the gumbo comes out.
That's right. That's right. Well, thanks, Mike. This has been so good. I'm looking forward to including you in that preaching team.
I'm looking forward to it as well.
But looking forward to what the future holds as we gather around the Word together at BAML.
It'll be my honor, David. Thank you.
Thanks.